Welcome back, folks, to another Beam 42 podcast. How are you, Beaver?
Good 40. Good to see you again. Good to have another season of footy on the doorstep.
You betcha. And we're going straight into the Broncos season preview for 24. Now, pretty good year. They outdid my expectations last year. They got into the big GF, got into the dance, and they were the second for points for, which was fine, and second for points against, although there was a massive gap between them and Penrith. And yeah, what have they done to try and retain that spot and not slip too far?
Yeah, look, they had a fantastic year last year, the Broncos, and let's face it, they were so close to winning it, and probably should have won it with like 15 to go when Cleary took over that game, right? So that will play with their heads a little bit this year, right? So not much in the way of ins for the Broncos this year, right? So Fletcher Baker from the Roosters, but they've lost a lot, right? And Herbie Farnsworth, who could have been the best centre in the game last year, Flegler, who was really dominant as a prop last year, they're both big losses to the Dolphins. Capewell, who I think would have been a good bench player for them, goes to the Warriors. And Keenan Palacia, who also I think would have been a decent fringe starter slash bench player for them, goes across to the Tits. So they've lost a lot of depth, and that makes their 17 a little bit skinny. I think their top 1 to 13 is pretty good and is a top four side, right? So a lot will depend on whether they can keep these guys on the field because Walsh, Mam, Haas, Carrigan, super class players, right? Ricky in the second row. So they have better than your average team. Question is whether the depth can help to keep them in the same position as last year and the injuries.
Yep, exactly right. And look, we talked a few years ago how the Adam Reynolds trade was going to pan out, and I think we both said if they got 2 good years out of him, then Broncos win the trade. So hands down, they've won the trade, and
Yep.
it looks like he's going to kick on again this year, maybe even sign again next year. So that'll be interesting. Look, I agree with what you say there. There's just a couple of question marks for me. One again is going to be on Reynolds' fitness. They miss him when he's not in, and he's a big out. And Corey Oates looks like he's made his way back into the 17. I just think his best days are behind him. And but the good thing is they do have a few players to come through in Jesse Arthurs, Dean Mariner. I think both of those guys could fill that spot quite comfortably. But my question marks around Selwyn Cobbo, perhaps moving into the centres to fill that Herbie Farnworth spot.
Yeah, look, the question on him is, sometimes he just doesn't seem interested, right? So on his day when he's on his game, he's super, right? But he's up and down like a honeymooner's. So I think that's the question, right? Can he be consistent? He did have a couple of injuries last year. He got owned in one game. I think it was by the Titans when he had a hip problem. But yeah, it's a big question mark for him, right? Clearly got the class, but can he be consistent?
Yeah. Look, everyone's got a hip problem when they go to turn and chase Cam Pereira, right? So, um, so look, the big question for me again is going to be around their forward depth. Now, they do have a huge unit, but there's a lot of talk about in this Benjamin Takiro guy. Apparently, he's going to be bigger than Nelson frame-wise. Let's see if he can back it up play-wise. But their forward depth, to me, looks a little bit thin.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, the competition's so tight that you get a couple of injuries, it can derail your season. And I think that the Broncos are on that precipice, right, where they do get long injuries to Haas, Carrigan, that the season could really be a bit shaky. So a couple of the wrong injuries for a long time, they'd miss the eight. Right?
Yep, totally agree. And look, if we talk about the first 5 games that they've got, now they got a great trip over to Vegas, but they start with the Roosters, the Rabbits at home, the Panthers away, the Cowboys at home, and the Storm away. What a brutal start to the season. To be honest, I think 2 out of 5 would be a fair result.
Yeah, I agree. I think it is a tough start, but it's this type of start that will give you a gauge as to whether they're really, they're going to back it up, right? Whether they're really going to back up being at the top of the ladder. So I think if you were Kevy, you'd be like, yeah, bring the tough start so that we can see what the team's made of. Right? So I have them probably winning 2 out of those games as well. But I think if Reece Walsh and Payne Haas don't get visas to the US because of their grub pasts, then I have them winning an extra game, having them winning the 3rd game. So, look, I think there's a big chance Reece Walsh won't even come back from Vegas, right? So he'll probably do a Matt Lodge and end up with some time in the US cell, right? Rugby little fuck.
Geez, that's outstanding. Look, I don't wish that upon anyone, but gee, it's a big chance. So, look, I've got them slipping outside the top 4. I think they'll just be 5th. But look, they're going to be there and thereabouts again this year. All comes down to injuries.
Yeah, I agree. I have them in the top 4. I think just 1 to 13, super classy, enough to get them there. Reynolds, just that calming influence on the team. He could be the most important player for them to keep in the team. Between him and Walsh, I think if they lose that X factor with Walsh, then they're in trouble. But forward depth, they just got too much class to not be banging on that top 4.
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, I guess we'll call that a wrap. There's not much more to talk about. The Broncos there, they're probably not far away from jumping on a plane to go for that first game in Vegas. So good luck to them over there.
Yeah, good luck over there. Hope you all make it back.
All right, mate. We'll wrap it up there and we'll see you for another wrap shortly. See ya.
All right, good luck. See ya.